form and to identify threats to our nation's financial future. Joining us now is Committee Chairman Spencer Bachus, a Republican from Alabama. And Congressman, every time you come on, we have more to talk about. I think I don't know where you want to go right now. Would you vote for the China bill if it was in front of you, like a lot of your Republican colleagues in the Senate? Are they what are they doing? Pandering to populist protectionists? Yeah, I mean, what's going on? I mean, we look at Congress, you wonder why the approval ratings like that.
Well, we all know what started the Great Depression, and that was the Smoot-Hawley tariff and the trade wars. And so the Senate is definitely handling dynamite. Of course, our largest trade partner is the EU, but China and their economy and our ability to trade with them is critically important. And the Chinese, just like the Europeans and just like Americans, they don't take to lecturing and threats. So I was surprised by the 81 to 19 votes. Now, I think what it shows is a desperation in that the manipulation of China's currency has caused us to lose workers here in the United States. But I think the overriding reason that we've lost workers in our economy is the overregulation and the overreach and the stifling of innovation and new ideas. And you know, Steve Jobs' death last night, I think, reminds us that productivity is the key, and that comes from new ideas and new products. And the government is inhibiting that across the spectrum of our economy.
Yeah, I earlier was juxtaposing some of the, the demonstrations and everything, which have moved now. It's really not about Wall Street so much anymore. I think it's about capitalism in general, or actually now it's a rich-poor the thing that it's sort of degenerated into. And I tried to tie that, and maybe it's not appropriate, but certainly innovation, entrepreneurship, private enterprise. I mean, you can glean all that from the story that was Steve Jobs and that was Apple. And I think it's a strange, in this day and age that we're living in right now, I think we lose sight of that sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I see this administration trying to create a straw man to divert our attention from our weak economy and over-management and regulation and manipulation of our economy.
Yeah, I just thought of something else to ask you about. We heard that the swipe fees, once we got rid of that with the Durbin Amendment, that the retailers like Walmart, that all of a sudden they were going to pass those savings right back to consumers. I'm not sure whether that actually happened or not, but just like everyone said, they said that sooner or later consumers are going to take it, and even at the small banks even more. And now we're seeing it with these $5 fees. So, the government institutes it, and then they're shocked when a $5 fee comes up. And now you've got government officials, one of them saying there should be a run on Bank of America. And you want to get in, Andrew? And the president saying that the banks think they have an inherent right to make a profit. I mean, these are interesting times.
Well, in fact, you just look at the Durbin Amendment, the reason for the $5 fee and the reason that a lot of banks are moving away from free checking is Dodd-Frank. And I will say this, then Chairman Frank said that the Durbin Amendment was a bad idea, but later on he went for it. And what really the administration was doing there, and they were picking winners and losers, and the winners were the retailers, the losers were the financial institutions, and there was a transfer of funds and profitability from our financial institutions to our retailers, and basically it was a product and a service that our banks were paying for. But and as a result, in fact, Bank of America and other banks across the board said, look, if you take this away from us, this revenue stream, we're going to have to charge for our services. So really what Bank of America is doing is just charging for their cost. And there's nothing un-American about that. I mean, that's what capitalism, that's what the free enterprise is all about. But, I think whether you create Wall Street as a bogeyman, China, or Bank of America, that's not going to solve our problem.
What's the chance, by the way, that the Bachus amendment ultimately gets? It's not your amendment. I'm sorry, Durbin Amendment gets overturned. Only because there seems to be a lot of. I think there's some populist anger out there now about this issue, and it may actually come to the fore.
Well, if you repeal the Durbin Amendment tomorrow, I think you would find within a month or 2 months all these free services by the banks would return because they'd be able to charge for their cost of their debit fees. Now, it was even worse, but the Federal Reserve, in their wisdom, stepped in and actually moderated the negative effects. In fact, the Durbin Amendment couldn't have come at a worse time. There were merits on both sides, but as you indicated earlier, there were some behind-the-scenes activities by special interest and some meetings going on that the American people and even we in Congress didn't know about. And it was a manipulation of the market and all those things that the American people have come to disrespect about the Congress and about Washington.
It is amazing, right? I mean, we thought we learned about price controls under Nixon, that you get less of what you're looking for, and yet we never learned this lesson. It was essentially a price control on swipe fees. Let me ask you, the jobs bill, are we going anywhere with this thing?
Yeah. And I didn't actually hear, was that Michelle?
Yeah, it's Michelle. Hi.
Yes, and I didn't hear the question.
The jobs bill, is this because we were rolling out one of our cool little trinkets there that plays a lot of music at the same time? The jobs bill, is this thing going to go anywhere?
You know, we do need jobs, and I think the administration's right to function on infrastructure. But, you know, they can't be government-created jobs. I think Paul Romer, the Stanford professor who was obviously, on the House Economic Council, he said that the secret is not more cooking, it's better recipes. And I think what the administration is doing is just using a lot of taxpayers' money to create a lot of cooking, and we get those companies like the company in California,
Solyndra.
The solar company. It really ends up wasting money. In fact, you could say about Steve Jobs that he created a better recipe. It's almost the apple pie of technology. And that created tremendous numbers of jobs. You know, the government didn't do that. And we've really got to take these regulations off. The EPA just proposed a regulation that's going to put 20% of our cement plants out of business. And the EPA said, well, we can import from Mexico, and that'll take care of the problem. But the Mexican, their standards for emission from cement plants are 4 times laxer than ours, and this is mercury gas and hydrochloric acid that's now coming in from China and Mexico. Yeah. So that's actually going to harm our economy. Yeah,
the unintended consequences never stop. It's just unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, price controls during the Depression with the AAA, Agricultural Adjustment Agency, they put 2 million tenant farmers and sharecroppers off the farms and in the unemployment line. It was intended to bolster farm prices, but it was a disaster. In fact, Eleanor Roosevelt had to respond by building homes for all these people, the resettlement agency. And we're seeing some of those things that happened in the Depression all over in this administration. They create one program, it creates a problem, they have to start another government program to take care of the damage caused by their first program.
Representative Bachus, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up, we've got breaking economic data, weekless, jobless claims. That's at 8:30 Eastern Time. Don't go anywhere.